Hello everyone, welcome back to the shop. Copying the shape of a thing is easy. Like this router plate, for example. Affix it to template stock, use the bearing of a bearing guided bit to ride along the thing, cutting the template to the exact shape of whatever it is that you're trying to copy. But what about a negative copy? What if I want the template to be cut out in the exact shape of the starting workpiece? For an inlay operation, to put this in a router table, or maybe this is a mirror and you're putting it in a jewelry box or whatever. It doesn't come up very often, but when it does, it's really tricky. You might resort to scribing all the way around the workpiece and then carefully with the router excavating to that line all the way around. And that is a tedious, error-prone process. So I thought a lot about something that could make this easier, and I've got enough of an interesting solution to at least share it and get some feedback.
So this thing that someone on Instagram said looked like a sculpture of an owl is the linchpin of the concept. But before telling you what exactly it does, I need to make a sled for it. So with the router fixed to the sled that I made, I can do a 1/2 inch plunge cut and know that this hole is perfectly aligned with the axis of rotation of the router. And this hole is what the specialty bushing thing that I made plugs into to get it perfectly aligned with the router. And I've got some more fiddly stuff to do with this sled before it's ready to go. So what I'm doing here is setting up some leveling feet that will make operation a little smoother. Word to the wise, if you're tapping threads in wood and you don't want to blow out the back side, use like a backer piece and drill through. And I found I needed to add some large holes right next to the bushing to have some visibility of the operation. Okay, so here's how this works. This is the first step. I secure template material to a backer that I don't mind cutting into a little bit. Here's my thing that I want to inlay. It's just kind of a random sort of shape for demonstration purposes. I double stick take that down to the template material above those screws. Now this is where the leveling feet come into play. I screw them down the same thickness as the workpiece so that my sled is level. Now for this first cut, I'm going to be cutting only with this smaller diameter section of the bushing touching the workpiece. That's important, and that's why I rotate the whole sled 360 degrees as I make my way all the way around. So now what I'm left with is a template with a recess that's exactly ½ an inch larger than the workpiece all the way around. I fix this to the thing I want to inlay into. Now I'm going to be cutting with this larger section of the bushing against the inside of the template. And that larger section of the bushing shifts the router bit exactly 1/2 inch in to cancel out the extra size of the recess in the template. So that the recess I cut is perfect to inlay the workpiece.
Okay, there are probably a few of you screaming at the computer or phone right now saying that this is the same as these template bushing inlay kit things. And there is a lot of similarity. This is a very similar solution. And you probably could finagle away for those inlay bushing sets to do what I'm showing here. They are meant to be used a little bit differently. You start with a template, either one that you make or one that you buy. You can route the recess for the inlay and then remove a little ring and cut the inlay itself. So you start with a template and make both the inlaid piece and the recess. I'm looking for something where you start with a thing to be inlaid, cut a template for it, and then route the recess for the inlaid piece. And for that, it's really handy to have these leveling feet, because that first step, without them, you'd be teeter-tottering on that workpiece while you're making your first cut. So it's nice to have it in a custom-made sled. And then also I'm kind of envisioning this for larger pieces. All of those inlay template bit sets are set up for 1/8 inch bits, and it's just nicer to have a 1/4 inch when you're making larger and longer cuts in things. Like I said, you probably could figure out a way to make a custom sled with those inlay bushing pieces in here instead of this custom thing that I made. Someone might also be curious about a router bit set. Could you do the same thing with router bits? And the answer is yes. These two bits are set up with the exact diameter offset so that you can first cut the outer template with this bearing against the piece to be inlaid, and then use that template with this bit to cut the recess for that inlaid piece. I'll leave it to the audience to figure out why the process is a lot more onerous trying to use these bits instead of either the bushing I made or the possibility of using the template inlaid bushing. See if you can figure that out, why this requires a lot more tedious steps. That's all for now. Hope you found this interesting. Catch you next time.